Alright, so let's start with the grass. So I'm using this low poly grass pack from Nicothin from Sketchfab. You can download it in GLTF format. So here is the model in Blender. The base color of this grass model is upside down. So let's modify this. Also, I'm not going to use the embedded alpha from the PNG. So let's create a grayscale alpha. Also for the base color, let's fill the background green. So here I have created a basic material with our color and alpha texture. I'm not going to use the normal. And we can see the UVs are upside down. So let's rotate and bring these down. Okay, so I'm going to use vertex paint data in Unreal Engine to make a custom wind node. So let's add a vertex paint data to this model. Go to edit mode, press 1, A and M and just select by distance. It will merge any of duplicate vertices. Now you can press L and select any individual card and press Shift H to isolate it. Go to vertex paint, start from pure white, paint it. Go to edit mode again, press Alt H, select another one, Shift H, go to vertex paint, set another gray value like this one and paint it. Again, go to edit mode, Alt H, select another one, Shift H, go to vertex paint, let's add another darker gray, paint it, Alt H, select another one, Shift H, vertex paint and another darker. In this way, let's paint all these grass cards in different gray values. So here I have painted all these cards in different gray values. Now go to object mode, press Ctrl A, apply all transforms and export as FBX. Alright, so in Unreal Engine, let's import our grass. So I'm gonna select the FBX and both of the textures. In the import setting, select build nanite, go to advanced and in vertex color import option, select replace. Also in material import method, select do not create material and import all. Now let's create our own material. Let's drag the color and alpha. In the material properties, select the blend mode to masked and click on two-sided. Now let's plug the base color to base color and alpha to opacity mask. Now you can see it's a bit dark on the inner side or basically on the other side. So just to glow it up a little bit, let's add a emissive color also. So just press M and click to add a multiply node. Multiply the base color with a very small value like 0.1 and plug it to emissive color. Okay, now for the wind, I'm going to use the rotate about axis setup, which I have explained in detail in one of my previous videos. You can check that out. Now to make things easy for you guys, I have copied this node setup to this blueprintue.com site. I'll put the link in the description. Sometimes it doesn't open, so you may have to use VPN. Once you open this page, you can just go to code to copy and click on copy. Then come to your Unreal Engine material editor, and in here just press Ctrl V and it will copy all the setup nodes. Now in here you plug this multiply output to world position offset. Now open our model and let's plug this grass material to the material. And now you can see that the grass cards are moving individually. Alright, so for the trees, I'm going to use my own VRIKSH Stylized tree generator based on geometry nodes. You can download this from my Gumroad freely. So this is what you get when you open the file. These are all the trees. So I'm going to use this tree for this video. And you can see that the bark material is different. So I'm going to use this bark material. And in the geometry node editor, we can see this is bark style 5. Just click on this tree and select bark style 5. Now let's just copy it to a new empty file. Snap it to the cursor. Now here I have imported the UE5 mannequin for scale reference, and as you can see it's too big in scale, so let's scale it down. Now I'll just duplicate it and create a variation. Go to edit mode and just edit the curve. Now go to modifiers and edit as you like. Alright, so here I have created two variations of the tree. Now let's convert it to a mesh. So let's go to geometry node editor. And here you can see the complete node setup. You just need to come to very last of it. And here you can see the join geometry node. And just before this one is the node for the leaves. Here, let's just add a realize instance node. So Shift A, search for realize instance and plug it after this rotate instance node. That's it. Now you can just come to object, convert, mesh, and now it is a mesh. However, we have to merge the UVs of trunk and leaves. So go to the material, delete this extra material. Now go to edit mode and select the bark style and click on select. It will select all the bark material objects. Press P and click on selection. Now you can select the trunk, go to data, go to attributes, select trunk UV, click on this attribute specials, click on convert attributes. In the mode, select generic. In the domain, select face corner, and in data type, select 2D vector. Click on OK. So now if you go to UVs, you have this trunk UV map. Delete the first one and rename this to UV map. However, now we cannot see our texture here. That is just because if you go to shading, you can see the texture is coming from attribute node. Rather than this, you connect this texture coordinate to mapping node. Now let's see the leaves. So if you select the leaf and go to material, delete this bark style material. And if you see the leaf material, it does not have any texture. It is just a gradient texture with color ramp and noise texture. So we'll have to bake the color for these leaves. So Shift A and add an image texture. Create a new image. Let's call it leaf. Keep these selected. Go to render. Select cycles. And in here, come to bake. In bake settings, select bake type to diffuse And in contributions, deselect direct and indirect. Click on bake. So here is our baked texture. I can save this image as an external file. Now to finally export this, I'll just join these two together. Ctrl J. So now our tree has two materials, one for bark and one for leaf. And if you go to UVs, it has one UV map. And now before exporting, let's check the face orientation. So go to edit mode and select face orientation. So the trunk is red. So just press A and press Shift N. Now we can just export it as FBX. Alright, so here we are in Unreal. I have imported all the texture files and the FBX files. For the leaf, I have made this as a grayscale alpha texture. Now the trunk material is pretty straightforward, just the base color and the normal map. For the leaves, let's select the blend mode to mask and put our alpha map to opacity mask. Now for the base color, we are going to lump two colors together. So press 3 and click to make a color. Let's give it a green color. And just duplicate it and give it a darker color. Now let's add a lump node. Plug the colors in A and B value. Now let's add a texture coordinate node and a linear gradient node. Plug it to linear gradient. Press M and click to add a multiply node and multiply it with a value. This will be our gradient range. So for now, keep it at 1. Plug this multiply output to our alpha. And finally, plug the lump to base color. Keep the material two-sided. Decrease the specular and increase the roughness. Now for the leaves, I am going to use a simple grass wind node. So let's add a grass wind. Press 1 and click to add a value. Let's keep it 0.5 for wind intensity. For wind weight, I'm going to again use the texture coordinate node. So just duplicate it. Add a mask node. And select only the G channel. Plug the texture coordinate to mask. And after that, use 1 minus. And plug it to wind weight. And for wind speed, again, plug another value node. You can keep it about 0.5. And for additional WPO, just put 0. Plug it to world position offset. Now open our object and plug the trunk material and the leaf material. Now what our leaf setup has done is that the leaves are moving at the outer side but not at the beginning side. For the centerpiece, I created a quick low poly rock structure. For the texture, I use this stylized desert cliff texture from Blender Kit. And I just made two variations for the base color with overlaying these blue color and this yellow color. For adding a little bit of damage on the corners, I used one click damage light add-on. Now for creating the beam effect and the rotating swirl effect, I created some texture images using AI. For example, this one with this prompt, and some linear beam effects like this one. And then using Krita, I created alpha map for both. For the linear beam effects texture, I made it seamless in vertical direction. And here in Blender, I have created two planes and laid out UVs to accommodate one swirl texture and one beam texture. Alright, so here I have imported the beam mesh and the beam texture. So let's create a material for this. And this is gonna be a pretty simple material. Let's drag our beam texture inside. In the material settings, set the blend mode to translucent. Add a texture coordinate node and add a panner node. Plug the texture coordinate to coordinate and panner output to UVs, and plug the output of texture to opacity. Now press 3 and click to add a color. Let's give it a bright bluish color and plug it to emissive color. And here is our material. Now in the beam mesh, drag our material. To move the texture in the vertical direction, go to the material settings and in panner node, set the Y value to 1 and it will move the texture vertically. Let's duplicate the material for the swirl, and for this one, let's replace our texture with this swirl texture. Now in this one, we need to rotate the texture. So delete the panner node and right click and add a rotator. Plug the texture coordinate to coordinate. Right click and add a time node. Press M and add a multiply node. Multiply the time with a value, for example 10. Plug it to the time and plug the rotator output to UVs. And now let's add this material to our swirl plane. Alright, now let's make the level. Alright, so this is the final level. I have added some extra foliage like these red flowers and white flowers, and also added this dirt layer. Here is the effect. Also in the background I have added these distant mountains, and in the sky I added a stylized sky texture. Then near the ground I added these firefly effects. Alright, so this is how I created this quick stylized environment. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye bye.